the giant twins of Opakuma. In the heart of the ancient lands that would one day become known as Bayelsa State, there lay a village known as Opakuma, surrounded by dense forests and tranquil rivers. It was a village of traditions, where the people respected the gods of the land, sea, and sky. They lived simple lives, hunting, fishing, and cultivating the land. One fateful night, a woman named Ebika, known for her striking beauty and strength, ventured deep into the forest to gather herbs for her ailing mother. The moon was full, casting a silver glow over the trees, and the air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers and damp earth. As she wandered, she came upon a clearing where a tall, dark figure stood, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. This was Erefa, the demon god of the forest, a being of immense power and dark allure. Erefa was drawn to Ebika's beauty and strength, and he seduced her with promises of power and protection. Overwhelmed by his presence, Ebika succumbed to his advances, and their union resulted in the birth of twin sons, Ebiyi and Tari. From the moment of their birth, it was clear that the twins were no ordinary children. They grew rapidly, their bodies becoming strong and gigantic. By the age of 5, they were already towering over the other villagers, their voices deep and resonant like the rumble of distant thunder. Tari, the elder by mere minutes, was a gentle giant. He had a kind heart and a deep love for the people of the village. He spent his days helping the villagers with their chores, building huts, plowing fields, and tending to the sick. He wore clothing made from the large leaves of the banana trees, woven together with vines, which gave him an almost regal appearance. Ebiyi, on the other hand, was a stark contrast to his brother. From an early age, he exhibited a violent and aggressive nature. He delighted in using his immense strength to dominate and control. Ebiyi took whatever he wanted by force, and those who dared to oppose him faced his wrath. His leaf clothing was often tattered and dirty, reflecting his wild and untamed spirit. The villagers lived in fear of Ebiyi, and their pleas to the gods of the land were many. They sought a way to curb his violence and bring peace back to their lives. One day, the gods answered their prayers. A divine decree came from Amatari, the god of the land, instructing the villagers to bind Ebiyi to the roots of the great Iroko tree at the edge of the village. This tree was ancient and sacred, its roots deep and strong, capable of holding even a giant. Ebiyi was ambushed and tied to the tree with ropes blessed by the priests. He struggled and roared, but the enchantment held him fast. For days, he remained bound, pleading with the villagers to release him. His cries eventually softened, and he promised to change his ways. Moved by his apparent remorse, the villagers decided to untie him. However, Ebiyi's promises were empty. Once freed, his violence resumed, even more ferocious than before. Tari, heartbroken by his brother's betrayal, knew that he could not stand by any longer. He challenged Ebiyi to a duel, hoping to end his tyranny once and for all. It was agreed upon that whoever is defeated will be banished from the village. The duel took place in the village square, a wide open space surrounded by the villagers who watched in fearful anticipation. Tari, with his compassionate heart, fought with the hope of subduing his brother without killing him. Ebiyi, driven by rage and pride, fought to destroy. The battle was fierce and lasted for hours. The ground shook with each blow they exchanged, and the air was filled with the sounds of their roaring and the cries of the villagers. Despite his strength and fury, Ebiyi was no match for Tari's skill and determination. In the end, Tari managed to overpower Ebiyi, pinning him to the ground. "I do not wish to kill you, brother," Tari said, his voice filled with sorrow. "But I cannot allow you to harm our people any longer." The villagers, though grateful to Tari, were unanimous in their decision. Ebiyi had to be banished. With a heavy heart, Tari watched as his brother was exiled to the depths of the forest, away from the village and its people. Ebiyi's heart was filled with bitterness and anger as he roamed the forest alone. His only desire was for companionship, someone who could understand his pain and loneliness. He pleaded with the villagers to allow him to take a wife, but they refused, fearing the curse that seemed to follow him. Desperate and enraged, Ebiyi abducted a young woman named Esiawayefe, who was betrothed to Bina, the sea god. Saifa was beautiful and kind-hearted, and her kidnapping caused great distress among the villagers and angered the sea god. Bina, in his wrath, summoned a great storm. The skies darkened, and the winds howled as the sea rose up to claim what was his. Ebiyi, despite his immense strength, was no match for the fury of the sea god. He was dragged into the depths of the ocean, where he met his end. The village slowly returned to peace after Ebiyi's demise. Tari continued to care for the people, earning their love and respect. He often visited the site where his brother had been bound, the great Iroko tree, and prayed for his lost brother's soul. Ebika, their mother, lived out her days in sorrow, but she found solace in Tari's goodness and the hope that, perhaps one day, the village would fully heal from the scars left by Ebiyi's reign of terror. Tari finally met his love Tonyi in the village, a pretty lady, charming and beautiful. When his mother Ebika found out of their affair, she regained her happiness. Tari and Tonyi, his love, also spent time together at the riverside. Their love grew and they got married and bare children. The children were not giants like Tari and Ebiyi. The story of Ebika, Ebiyi, and Tari became a legend, passed down through generations. It was a tale of love and betrayal, strength and compassion, a reminder of the delicate balance between power and responsibility, and the eternal struggle between the forces of good and evil. And so, in the heart of Bayelsa State, the memory of the giant twins lived on, a part of the land and its history, forever etched in the minds and hearts of its people.